Canto 4. The weary climb. A ledge. The sun is to the north. Explanation. Belacqua and the negligent. When because of pleasures or else pains that some faculty of ours may grasp, the soul focuses sharply upon that, it seems to heed no other power. And this is against the error that believes one soul is kindled over another in us. And therefore, when we hear or see something that holds the soul strongly turned to it, time passes, and we do not notice its passage. For one is the power that listens to time, and another that which now occupies the whole soul. The latter is bound, as it were, the first unbound. Of this I had true experience, hearing that spirit and marveling. For a full 50 degrees the sun had mounted, and I had not perceived it. When we came to where those souls as one cried to us, "Here is what you asked," a larger opening is often filled up by the farmer with a forkful of his thorns when the grape darkens. Then was that passageway up which my leader climbed, and I after him, the two of us alone, once the crowd had left us. One can go up to San Leo and descend to Noli. One can climb to Bismantova or up the Kakume with one's feet. But here one must fly, I mean with the swift wings and the pinions of great desire, following that guide who gave me hope and light. We were climbing within the broken rock, and on either side the banks hemmed us in, and the ground beneath us required both feet and hands. When we were on the upper rim of the high bank, on the open slope, "My master," I said, "what way shall we take?" And he to me, "Let no step of yours go downward, still following me gain on the mountain, until there appear to us some wise guide." The summit was so high it vanquished sight, and the slope was much haughtier than a line from mid-quadrant to center. I was weary when I began, "O sweet Father, turn and look back at how I am left alone, if you do not stop." "My son," he said, "pull yourself up that far," pointing to a ledge a little further up, which girdled all that side of the mountain. His words so spurred me that I forced myself, crawling on hands and knees after him, until the circling ledge was beneath my feet. We sat down there, both turned to the east, whence we had climbed, for it usually does one good to look back. First I directed my eyes to the low shores, then I raised them to the sun, and I was amazed that it struck us from the left. The poet well saw that I was lost in wonder at the chariot of the sun, where it came between us and Aquilon. Wherefore he said to me, if Castor and Pollux accompanied that mirror that leads its light both north and south, you would see the ruddy zodiac wheel even closer to the bears, as long as it did not abandon its old path. How can that be? If you want to be able to conceive it, turning inward, imagine that Zion and this mountain stand on the earth, in such a way that the two have a single horizon and different hemispheres. Thus the road along which Phaethon could not drive the chariot to his hurt, you will see must go first on one side, and then on the other side of that horizon, if your intellect pays clear attention. Certainly, my master, said I, never have I seen so clearly as I now discern, there where my wit had seemed lacking, that the middle circle of the daily rotation, which is called equator in science, and which always stands between the sun and winter, for the reason you give is as far from here toward the north as the Hebrews saw it toward the hot region. But if it pleases you, I would gladly know how far we have to go, for the mountain rises farther than my eyes can. And he to me, this mountain is such that it is always more difficult at the bottom, at the beginning, and the further up one goes, the less it gives pain. Thus, when it shall seem so easy to you that going up will be like floating downstream in a boat, then you will be at the end of this path. Wait to rest your weariness there. I answer no further, but this I know for truth. And when he had spoken this word, a voice from nearby sounded, perhaps you will be obliged to sit before then. At the sound of it before both of us turned, and we saw to the left a great boulder that neither he nor I had noticed previously. We drew near, and there were persons in the shade behind the rock, in postures people take for negligence, and one of them, who seemed weary, was sitting embracing his knees, holding his face down low between them. "Oh, my sweet lord," said I, "look at that fellow. He appears more negligent than if laziness were his sister." Then he turned to us and gave us his attention, shifting his face up a bit along his thigh, and said, "Now you go on up. You are so vigorous." Then I knew who he was, and the pain that made my breath still come somewhat quickly did not prevent my going to him. And when I reached him, he barely raised his head, saying, "Have you seen clearly how the sun drives his chariot over our left shoulder?" His lazy movements and his brief words moved my lips to smile a little. Then I began, "Belacqua, now I do not grieve for you any longer, but tell me, why are you sitting just here? Are you waiting for a guide, or have your old habits claimed you again?" And he, "Oh, brother, what good would climbing do? For the angel of God sitting on the threshold would not let me go in to the torments. First, it is necessary for the heavens to turn around me outside here as long as they did in my life, since I delayed my good sighs until the end. Unless prayer help me first, which must rise up from a heart that lives in grace, what good is any other, since it is not heard in heaven?" And already the poet was climbing ahead of me and saying, "Come along now. See, the meridian is touched by the sun, and on the shore of ocean night already covers Morocco with its foot."